about hanging the hammock, I had mentioned that later I would do a video on hanging my tarp, and so I thought I would do that today. You're going to notice that I have a waterproof bag that I keep my tarp and all my necessary paraphernalia for my tarp in. That's always a good idea for people to have because it helps to keep things organized in your backpack, but not only that, if you're like me and you don't have a waterproof backpack, things get wet when it rains. So it keeps the items in your backpack dry, and also if items get wet and you put them into your backpack, it prevents them from getting other items wet as well. So just a good idea if you don't have waterproof bags to go ahead and get some. Yeah, I don't know what that noise is. Pretty scary. Anyway, so what I thought I would do first is run the ridge line, and it's pretty simple to do. I just have I am actually using a nylon rope to do that, but you might have some paracord or something. And on the one end of the nylon rope I have an S-beaner that I just simply wrap around the tree. And so I'm going to do that here now. Again, when you're doing a tarp, obviously you're going to want to do it above the hammock that you're going to hang underneath it. And this is great too, because when you are out in the woods and perhaps it's raining, when you get to your site, the first thing you want to do is set up your tarp, because you can put everything underneath it and keep it dry and keep you dry. Now we're going to run to the other side and we'll connect it to this tree as well. So the first thing I need to do is determine where I'm going to put a loop in my line. So I hold my line up and say I want my loop somewhere in this area here. So I'm going to go ahead and tie a loop. And I'm not going to explain to you how I tie the loop. We'll talk about tying knots some other time. But I just do a simple loop in the middle of the line, and what this does is this allows me to really pull tight on the ridge line. So now you see I can run the line through here, my ridge line, and I can pull that nice and tight and get some really nice tension on my ridge line. And then all I have to do is simply tie this off. So now that we have our ridge line up, that's nice and tight, what I'm going to do is install a couple prusik knots, which are actually going to hold the tarp in place. And the tarp will actually be hanging behind, underneath the ridge line. So we'll put our first prusik knot in. And again, it's a real simple knot. And just tie our prusik knot. It's a simple knot to tie, really. You just wrap it around the ridge line 3 or 4 times, and then you take the longer end and kind of slide it through and pull it tight. And the nice thing about a prusik knot, once you get it nice and tight, is that it holds pressure that goes sideways. See, I'm pulling it sideways and it won't move. But when you release the pressure and you just slide it, see that? Then this way you can actually move it wherever you need it on your ridge line. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, we're going to put in another one because you got to have one on either side. So we'll go ahead and tie another one. Again, you just kind of work it so that it gets nice and tight on the line. And it will do its job. There you go. It's tight. Yet now I can slide it all the way over to the other side. So now that I have these, the next thing I'm going to do is install a couple of carabiners on these, because they will hold the edge of the tarp. So I'm going to just put one of these on either side. And we'll grab our tarp. So the tarp and everything you see here, I weighed it before I started. It weighed 2.11 pounds. So my entire system, the tarp, all the hardware, and my hammock weighs about 4.5 pounds, which that's pretty light. I mean, it's not a lot of weight to be carrying. So, all right. So what we do at this point then is we just go ahead and connect our tarp ends up to the carabiners that we have hanging on our pressing knots. So the next step is, as I said, to just connect the tarp to the carabiners. So we just slide it on. And I already have the other one hooked on the other side. And now you're going to see where the pressing knot really comes into its worth. Because what we can do now is, as you can see, that the tarp is sagging right in the middle. So in order to get that sag out, you simply pull that pressing knot, and look at that, it holds it right up. And it holds too, it will not release. And so it holds it nice and taut, and you can see now it's actually hanging underneath the ridge line and holding the entire weight of the tarp. So what I'm going to go do now is I'll stake it out, and you can see it once I have it all staked out. So here you can see the tarp is fully deployed. I've got the corners staked out, the middle, a nice tight ridge line, pressing knots holding up the center. This works. This is a really nice setup, and I like this one. Now, there are other ways to tie your tarp. I've seen people do it in a diamond configuration, and we'll talk about that later. One thing at a time. So, but this is really a nice setup. It worked really well for me. I've been out in the rain in it, and I've had no issues. And actually what we'll do is we'll take a look on the inside, because at this point now, you could go ahead and hang the hammock up, if it was raining, of course. If it wasn't raining, you would have hung the hammock up beforehand. But in a situation where you're in inclement weather, this is what you want to do first. And I think what I'm going to do too is I'm going to put it up in porch mode, and I'm going to show you what it looks like in porch mode. And what I mean by that is once you have it all set up, we can actually lift one of these ends up nice and high by using some sticks or something you find in the woods. And you can sit in your hammock then, and you know, you've got a nice place where you can, if it does start raining, or if you just want to relax and cook your food or whatever, you know, it's just a nice area. You can keep all of your items dry. So I'll do that. And then what you'll notice I do is just loosen the guidelines up. And then just take the sticks, put them about where you think you want them. And then tighten the guideline up. We're going to go ahead and do the other side. So we can make a few modifications to this. in order to make it a little bit more. Some people have used their hiking poles to do this for the corners. What I like to do too is have one in the center. You should always have one of these little saws with you. These things are very handy to have. I know some people are inclined to want to take a axe with them or something like that, but really they're just not practical because of the weight. Something like, at least for me anyway, they may be practical for you, maybe on a day hike, but yeah, these come in really handy. Now what I'll do is I'll just loosen this up. All right, tighten this up. And again, you can improve this a little bit by, you know, notching this out a little bit better. And I'm just doing it kind of quick. But now you can see you have a nice area under here where you can, if the weather is bad, you could now spread out your gear, set up your hammock. I can just about, in fact I can, even with my hat. I can stand up straight underneath here. So this is just a basic tarp setup. It works really great for me. You know, you have to play with it on your own and kind of fiddle with it a little bit. That's the old fiddle factor, you know, in hammock camping. But you know, I find it enjoyable. Some people maybe just want to, you know, pitch their tent and be on about their business. But I actually enjoy the whole process of setting up my camp. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I know I enjoyed making it and bringing it to you. And we'll see you soon.